Leader Fan Radio Network.
That's all, I'm done.
And KFAN.com. 2 minutes, 13 seconds past 3 Central Standard Time. It is a Tuesday edition, bumper-to-bumper program. My name is Dan Barreiro, former Ink Stain Wretch newspaper of the Twin Cities. Garzi produces the program as well, and we are delighted to be aboard today with you between now and, I'm assuming, 6:30 this evening as we continue in what is, I guess, traditionally called the sports abyss. Or does this usher in, does the return of football in a big way via the Combine, is that on the abyss calendar, technically? Does this denote the end of the abyss?
Maybe it's a pause in the abyss.
Has anybody ever done the official abyss calendar? Has it ever been, there's a lot of unofficial abyss calendars, but has an official one ever been designated or written?
To me, I kind of feel like the main part of the abyss is when the winter sports end, when it's just baseball.
Oh, so it's past.
I feel like that's the meaty part of the abyss.
I thought
this is abyssy.
I thought in the Paul Allen world, the abyss starts the minute pro football shuts down, at least in terms of games played.
I remember it being more of a summer thing.
Okay,
but it's abyssy in nature right now.
Well, again, we've had less of an abyss, if you want to consider this period abyssy, because we did have the Winter Olympics that just wrapped up, and now they are indeed over. But hockey resumes, I think, tomorrow. Basketball has resumed, right? And now we do have the Combine. In fact, Kevin Seifert is going to check in today. What time is Seifert on? 3:30?
4:30.
4:30, that's right. Louis is early today. Luigi is 3:30. And Kevin Seifert, Dateline, Indianapolis, Indiana. He will join for the Belly of the Beast at 4:30 this very afternoon. We'll get to some emails today. Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line 64686. We've got some A-section stuff to explore. I'm glad we're not too guest intensive today because there's a lot of legitimate stories, I think, for us to examine, explore, debate, argue over, all those sorts of good things. Small moves. One of my favorite, I guess you could call it, science fiction motion pictures is a film, gosh, it's been out a long time. I think the name of the movie is Contact.
Oh, yeah.
And it stars, among others, Jodie Foster. I mean, she kind of headlines it and is the anchor of the film. Always thought it was a very good movie. It's a movie that I got Giovanzi to watch, and she loves it as well. And there's a very tender scene in the film where the character that Jodie Foster plays in the movie is Dr. Arroway, Dr. Ellie Arroway. And there's flashbacks to when she's growing up. And as I recall it, she's growing up just with her father. And she becomes fascinated at a young age with radio frequencies. Shortwave stuff. And so she many nights would get on, I want to say it's shortwave, and try to make contact with, no pun intended, with folks in other parts of the country, right? Or even the world. And every time she did make contact of some sort, then she would record it. She had a big mural up on her bedroom wall, and she put another pin for another location. And she became, from time to time, frustrated that she couldn't more quickly add to that list and make it grow as fast as she wanted it to grow. And her father looks at her with a very serene smile and says, "Small moves, Ellie. Small moves." Very tender moment in the film. Holds up you get back to it very late. I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to do a spoiler alert for you. I don't want to ruin it about where it comes back into the story. And I mean, and I took it as you're looking at that as an example of or a metaphor for patience, slowing down. Not every move has to be enormous to get to where you want to go. Sometimes you have to go slower. Sometimes you have to be more deliberate through that approach. And believe it or not, it's on my mind today in a way that probably will surprise people. But it's on my mind today in the wake of some comments by, well, one of the greatest basketball coach / executive names of all time, Pat Riley. Riley just had a statue unveiled. I should say the Lakers organization unveiled a statue to salute him. Man, they got a lot of statues in that
You've been there, right?
Courtyard. Yeah, it is impressive. Now, I haven't been there in a while.
I was, last January.
I don't think it all, it's
so
several
cool.
of the statues were not up there last time I went.
It's so cool.
It's outstanding. So Riles gets a statue. And I don't know if this was at the presser, after, before, because he has a chance to pontificate on all sorts of things. He's asked about his time in L.A. He's asked about his time in New York. He's asked about his time in Miami, where he still is. And I'll say again, to me, Pat Riley's greatest strength was he, I think, believed in the cliche we all adhere to when it comes to successful coaches. And that is, stop forcing your collection of players to do what you want them to do stylistically. Show the ability to adjust whatever your precepts are to the talent that you have at hand, right? It's what we like to think the best coaches do. They're not stubborn about, well, this is I play one way. We run. United, we run. That's all we do.
My
Showtime.
system.
That's it. My system. Which he deployed beautifully in Los Angeles. When you have Irvin Magic Johnson leading the fast break, that makes sense. He gets to New York, and he looks around and says, Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, several others, John Starks, well, they're not fast, but they're physical. They can wear on you. So guess what? In New York, I'm going to build a system that is less interested in looking pretty and more interested in being effective with physicality, right? Toughness. Even though, in all honesty, the Lakers teams were tough in their own way. And then Miami, a whole different deal. But I didn't really intend to do this soliloquy just to salute Riley, although it was admittedly one of the, I think, sidebars I did want to discuss. Because I do think, I think the guy's been, again, in showing that ability to change with his players in a stylistic sense. I think that makes him, if not the best of all time, one of the best of all time, because he had that ability. But it was something else he said that got my attention. And I don't know if this was a muse. I don't know if he was asked the question or not. Maybe it was, what do you miss about are there things from the old NBA that you miss today? Things that you think have gone away that you'd like to see come back? And he said, matter of fact, there is. I miss looking over to the sidelines and seeing coaches in suits and ties. In fact, here's the direct quote. I think when fans look over at the sidelines, they want to see someone that looks like a leader. I got to tell you, I admit to pure fraudulence on this issue. I am someone who has never been particularly interested in dressing up, never really wanted to, and If I were forced to, I guess I would, but I'd say I don't need it. I don't think it would make me do my job any better. And yet, aesthetically speaking, even as I say that, I'm contradicting myself here. I'm with Riles. I believe something has been lost in terms of a sense of decorum. I don't even know how to describe it. When the decision was made to wear whatever you want as long as every coach wears the same thing.
Yeah, right.
3/4 zip. You can wear polo. I think you can wear a flat-out sweatshirt if you want, as long as they're kind of nice-looking and everybody else is wearing them. And the stretch pants, right? That's pretty much it. Gym shoes. Not going to wear shiny, dress shoes. Wearing that, it doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't add up. And that gets me back to small moves. We think right now the world is going to hell in a handbasket, right? Whether that's true or not, whether that's recency bias or not, I don't know. But I'll ask you the question. Is it possible? Is it actually more practical to start, when it comes to changing the world and making us feel better about the world, isn't there a danger in thinking too big and too grand because it's too overpowering, it's too intimidating to get to all the big stuff? Maybe we start small. Maybe the small move of putting that sense of style and decorum on the sidelines, once again, with coaches in beautifully tailored suits and ties and dress shoes, is a good place to start. Not to finish, but you got to start small, as Ellie's father said in the motion picture we were just talking about, Contact. Could that be the beginning of it? Because when I read that quote, I wasn't surprised. He's said it before, but it resonated with me. Even though, like I said, I don't want to wear them. I wouldn't want to have to wear them. I wouldn't be comfortable wearing them, so I admit I'm being a fraud about it. But I believe Pat Riley has a point. Your thoughts?
Good luck.
And we could expand it out.
Yes, of course. You start there.
People used to, they always say when you want to feel accomplished, you make a list. And the first thing on the list is make a list. And then you can cross that off.
Yes.
Then you've got momentum.
Yes.
Then the snowball is starting to roll downhill. And you start with the easiest task first. And then you feel good. You feel accomplished. So you might be onto something there. People used to dress up to go to games.
They did. Look, we've talked about this. Look at baseball ballparks in the 30s, 40s, 50s, even into the 60s. It's astonishing to see what they wore. Airplanes.
Travel, exactly. That's the next one.
Yeah, that's it. Now, I don't know if you want to, obviously implementing a dress code is rather dangerous in 2025 on a number of fronts. But I'm just saying, have we lost something there? Does Riles have a larger point? I call him Riles, good vibe with him going all the way back to Dallas days.
Yep.
I think he's onto something. I really do. Now, I don't think there's enough other people
coaches
who care enough. Now, admittedly, too, what's the other Riles advantage?
He looks good.
He looks so damn good in a suit.
He's like
Who looks better in a suit than Pat Riley?
He walked so Rob Pelinka could run in terms of style.
Yes, 100% true. Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line is open. Lots of good replies coming in. 64686. Who is the last college football coach to wear a suit? Not just a tie, but a suit. Did Joe Pa wear a suit, or did you just make sure he wore a tie?
I think he just wore a tie. Maybe at a time he wore a suit. There were some that did wear full suits. You're right.
Yeah, back in the day.
And there are some coaches that still do wear suits in the college game, like Greg Gard, Wisconsin.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's probably in Lakeville right now.
That's a good point.
He wears full suits.
Yeah.
And his staff dresses up.
Doesn't look as good as Riles, but that's not his fault.
No.
I don't think he would deny that.
No, I mean, he's from Wisconsin.
At least he's trying.
Yes.
Give him some credit for that.
The Gopher women's basketball team, they dress up. The staff wears nice clothes at home.
Okay.
And the zips on the road.
Okay, that's the distinction.
That's kind of a laundry and packing situation, I was told. that it's easier to just pack for a road trip.
Yeah.
You don't have to bring your suit bag, for example. So there are some people that still try to class it up a little bit per Riley's request.
I'm just telling you. I mean, again, there's a lot of steps between NBA coaches putting suits back on and solving all the world's problems. There's a few steps in between. I don't deny that.
It's a good jumping off point.
But I want to start somewhere, and I want to start modest with a small move because it's doable. And then maybe a second move is added to it, and a third, and a fourth, and could it lead to a place where there's just greater decorum everywhere? Perish the thought, even during the president's State of the Union speech tonight.
Good luck.
Now, I think it's going to take some time before we get to that point, if we ever get back to that point.
Well, he's wearing a suit.
He is wearing a suit.
Yeah.
But I don't think decorum will be at the top of the list as the speech is conveyed, and folks on the Democrats who show up, that is, because I think some of them are saying they're going to stay away, how they might respond as well. Keep the text coming. We'll come back with a couple of your texts and other matters, including Luigi at the bottom of the... Great and Natalie attired Chuck Daly had not worn a suit, the world would have been deprived of a great bumper-to-bumper story and a timeless soundbite. Thank you. That's from General Soreness. That's a great callback and 100% true. There's nothing apocryphal about the time that I had the audacity. Well, let me back up real quickly for people who don't know the story. Covering NBA playoff, I want to say it must have been one of the finals. I don't know. At this point, Daly is doing some color commentating. And there's a media room where you set up your computer for, writing maybe at halftime, but more likely after the game. I get back at the end of the game, and there's a suit coat draped over my chair. I honestly, at that point, don't know whose suit coat it is. But I got to move it because I don't want to, wrinkle it, even though I shouldn't have to mess with it at all because it's my chair.
Your name's right there.
That's it, exactly.
Your stuff's there.
That's exactly right. So I'm in the process of starting very carefully because I can tell this is silk, man. It's a big-time suit. This is not a Kmart special. I'm in the process of very carefully lifting the coat up when I hear behind me, thank you, and it's Chuck Daly very sarcastically telling me, be careful with that, and I will take it from you. That story is true, and he could wear a suit. Chuck Daly I think he was in Pat Riley's league in that regard. He was an outstanding dresser, for sure. Suits mean business. Casual dress leads to casual play. Riles is dapper. The Hughes brothers are scrappers. Type this while on the Wolves in 5.
Oh, my God.
Cecil. Recall Dan Reeves, former Denver coach, was always sharp. However, the NFL currently requires staff to wear official gear. That's true. It's all. What I hate is, and maybe I'm the minority on this, I hate that they all have to wear the same thing.
Yeah. You want a little
variety.
Personality.
It's just, it wouldn't, or even if it's going to be gear from a team, it shouldn't have to be the same hoodie or the same ball cap, which I think it tends to be. Like they're all, like it's a fraternity or something.
Yeah, basketball, it all has to be the same, I know for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Think about if Clem Haskins was just wearing a hoodie, he could never have thrown his jacket into the crowd, which was a big trademark and hallmark 100%. Of that era of Williams Arena.
Well, he could have, I guess. It would have been a little more complicated to take the hoodie off.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a form-fitting hoodie.
For sure.
Might be a little more difficult. As you say, the suit coat is made for tearing it off, and as you say, throwing it into the crowd to say, it's on now.
And we all
that
love
was
Clem.
The signal.
His BMI not in the KOC Matt LaFleur mode.
I am, by the way, old enough to remember watching Clem Haskins play basketball.
Yeah.
And despite that physique, where he was always a little thicker, not as thick as he became, but he was a hell of a scorer.
I believe it. Yeah. Well, I think about
Clem the Gem.
Clem had different levels, too, of he would do like the half jacket off, like, I'm going to take it off.
Yes.
I'm going to take it off, man.
He'd tease you with it.
At Hightower.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this
Hold
off.
me back.
And then he kind of put it back on.
Yeah.
And then he'd throw it. It was great. I remember Patino got teed up for throwing his jacket. Because now they don't let you throw the jacket. Yeah, Patino threw his tie once. They don't let you. If you throw a jacket, if you throw anything, it's an automatic technical. Okay, gotcha. So, again, but that maybe goes back to if we never had lost the suits.
That's it.
Maybe they would have never changed that rule.
I'm a teacher, Dan. I'm trying my part. I've started Tie Tuesday and wear one each week, trying to get some of the students to join me. A few have joined, but it does not appear to be spiraling quickly. Dry Heat Guy says, I was a photographer on the sidelines in 2010. While Penn State was here in one of Joe Pa's last games, he wore multiple sweaters. He wasn't wearing a suit or tie for that particular game. I have my own photos to prove it. Bring back class. I'm 30. Couldn't agree more. Game day used to feel different. Head coach used to be a respected leader. And maybe it still is. He still is, but it feels less so. Mike Nolan of the Niners wore a suit. Well, a lot of coaches back then did. Tom Landry.
Yeah.
Certainly wore a
well, Mike Nolan wearing a suit and tie. That's why PJ does it.
Oh, that's right.
Because Nolan was PJ's coach in the NFL, and that's why he wears the tie. Jim Tressel, same thing, wore the tie and the sweater vest, and those are PJ's guys, so that's why he does that. Not full suit. He wears the zip over the tie, but that's why he does that.
Can't read that one. Today is my actual birthday, so I'm wearing a suit. Then I tell people I'm wearing my birthday suit. From your enough said friend, Dano.
I love it, Dano. That sounds like something Kessler would do.
That's true. Didn't Mason your face wear a suit? Yes. In fact, well, he said, I don't know if he wore a suit.
No, he wore a tie when he played Paterno.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he didn't wear it all the time?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
But it was, again, you can do, I guess the blazer, you can do the sport coat, but I don't think it's as effective on the sidelines as a suit, a full suit. Do you?
Hockey coaches still wear suits now.
That's been pointed out. You're 100% right.
Hockey community is not bowed to societal pressure to dress down.
Pat Riley should sue Gavin Newsom for impersonating an NBA coach. He does have that slick back Riles hair.
Yeah.
The amazing thing about Riles, too, was his transformation. If you go back and watch him as a player, including as an NBA player, there's a famous episode of Columbo where several members of the Lakers are in practice, and it's filmed, and you wouldn't even recognize Riles. He had like the Fu Manchu mustache, he had the mutton chop, sideburns. It was not anywhere close to the smooth, glitzy Showtime look with the greased back hair, the whole bit. Completely different look. He made himself over once he became an NBA.
That's Hollywood
Head coach.
I mean, look
I guess
at Lucas
that's what
since he's gotten there.
Maybe if Finchie wore a suit, the Wolves would put forth more of an effort.
Man, we were waiting for that.
Well, I'm glad somebody got to it. I'm not even sure I could picture Finch in a suit, honestly. Hard to say. I think he'd look good.
Oh, yeah, Finchie would look good.
But whatever. All right, let's make this the bottom of the hour pause. Lots of other great texts. We'll mix and match these throughout the show. We had Bonus Louis Sunday twice as we watched the U.S. get gold over Canada. We'll get back to some leftover observations from Luigi and move the clock forward as well to what the Minnesota Wild will soon be up to as their season resumes tomorrow night. I should say Thursday night, right here on the Fan against the Land.
Well, she sneaks around the world from India to Carolina. She's a sticky finger culture from Berlin down to Belize. She'll take you for a ride on a slow boat to China. Tell me where in the world is
Nanne?
Well, as hard as this is to believe, we found another Hall of Fame that Lou Nanne was not yet quite in. Another one. I mean, we didn't think there were any left. We didn't think there was any place else to go.
I know.
But it turns out the Minnesota State High School League has a Hall of Fame. And for some reason, Luigi isn't already in it, but now he's going to be. He is a member of the league's Hall of Fame class of 2026. And we've talked about this before. You're definitely in double digits. Are you approaching 20 Halls of Fame now? Have you counted up how many you're in or about to be in?
No, I think it's 11.
11. That's it.
I'm very pleased, very honored to be going into that. I believe it's April 19th.
Nice.
That's a Sunday. Yeah.
Will you have to give a speech?
No, I've already done it was a unique way to do it, and I liked it. They did an interview with me on camera that they filmed, and that's what they'll play that day. So.
Because my next question, well, I guess that this answers my next question, because my next question was, will you have to actually be here for an event? Because we know you generally don't like being here in April, for God's sake. But it's unnecessary in this case. It's all done.
No, I'm going to be there. As a matter of fact, I have a meeting in Palm Springs on April 17th. And so the 18th, I'm flying from Palm Springs to Minneapolis, and I'll be there for the 19th.
Well, congratulations on
thank you.
Number 11.
That should be our quest, is we should find the Hall of Fame that Louis not in, that and
demand to know why he isn't in it. Yeah.
Like he's not in it yet.
Start browbeating the organization.
We're going to just send us a list, Luigi, of all your Halls of Fame at some point when you go through the plaques, and we'll figure out which one you're not in yet that you need to be.
Here's the better way to look at it. Find out from Luigi which one he's not in and where that's stuck in his craw. Where there's when he said, well, that makes no sense. I'm in all these Halls of Fame. How am I not in this one? Is there a Hall of Fame you've identified that you want to be in and that you're pissed off you're not already in?
Well, I'm not upset about it. I'm not in the Canadian Hall of Fame. I'm in that building because I'm in the International
interesting.
Hall of Fame, which is part of it. Yeah. But that's I don't deserve to be in there. That's a different one.
Okay. Well, who knows?
Yeah.
We'll look into it.
There's still. We'll get to the bottom of it. One way or the other. Do we know?
We know you'll be in the Florida Hockey Hall of Fame at some point for your role in growing the game.
For building the game.
Yeah. I don't know if they have one yet. Yeah. Maybe that's your next quest. Isn't that what Sid did? He started the Minnesota Sports Hall of Fame with the Star Tribune, and then he was one of the first inductees. You could do it, Lou.
By the way, speaking of Halls of Fame. Did we miss this story, or did we talk about it and I'm just not remembering it? Have we moved? Is our Hall of Fame the one that was in Eveleth? Is it still in Eveleth, or is it on the move? Or refresh my memory on it, because there was a big debate about moving it to a place where more people could get to it. Where is all that at, Louis?
That's still in Eveleth. It hasn't been moved, and I don't think there's any discussion of moving. I think there might be some sharing. Like the next Hall of Fame coming in our state will be the Minnesota High School Hall of Fame, which will be built now. They've already announced in Inver Grove.
Okay.
And when that goes into fruition, I would think they might be sharing some stuff. I would not be surprised.
Gotcha.
From the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame, bring it down there and back and forth, whatever. Yeah,
we've talked about that for sure. Is there such a thing as a Balsam Lake Hall of Fame?
Yeah, for eating, and I'm in that.
Because Dave from East Balsam brought that to my attention, and he wondered whether, there's some discussion apparently about starting a Balsam Lake Hall of Fame with you being a charter member, like you becoming the first inductee. You would not say no to that, correct?
No, because it'll probably include Indian Head. I eat there often enough.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
They present me with a chef's hat.
Yeah, there you go. That would actually be absolutely perfect. Hey, we had Wes Walls on the show yesterday, and one of the observations he had I thought was pretty interesting. He said, look, you get in that whole debate about outplaying who and the goaltender's part of the team and all that, which you and I talked about Sunday. He said, but I got to tell you, he said, in my opinion, as a Canadian, obviously, who's now settled here pretty nicely, he said, I didn't think Canada played smart hockey at all, especially in the OT. That he said, and if we're talking about evaluating, outplaying the other team, part of it is whether you play with intelligence, and he did not like the intelligence that he said Canada played with. He mentioned he thought Connor McDavid a couple times was too impatient with the puck in OT. I thought it was an interesting point that he was making that probably should be part of the conversation, right?
Well, it definitely is part of the conversation. What he pointed out is something I think you're probably going to hear more about as the scars wear off up there, because McDavid did force a couple plays. In fact, the last one was he tried to go to the net around Hughes and short side. Hellebuck makes the save. He gets the puck over the corner, then up to Hughes and up the ice. But the main thing he did wrong in that play is he took the wrong man coming back. Now, you have to remember, Hughes is the guy checking him by the net. And now, as the puck goes from the goaltender to the defenseman, Hughes breaks up ice. And what do both Makar and McDavid both do? They stayed in that zone to check.
You're right.
Werenski.
Yep.
Now, had Makar been successful, or even McDavid getting that puck, they'd had a 2-0 on a goaltender. But you remember we talked about that just before the overtime, how the best offensive players are always your best defensive players.
Right.
And they certainly didn't think defensive at that time. And the moment that they weren't able to control that puck and Hughes knocked it by them, 2 men are caught. Well, you would say, fortunately for Canada, the puck goes over the right side where McKinnon and Werenski is going after it. McDavid on his way back goes towards the puck carrier, or the guys battling for the puck, and the other forward, which is Larkin, going in deep. Hughes is the guy on the outside wide open, and McDavid was the closest guy to the guy to Hughes. He should have gone over to guard him, which he didn't. And that's why Hughes was wide open. He scored the goal.
Yeah, that's a great point, yeah. Well, that's the beauty of it is there's the adrenaline of the moment and what you see, and then you get extra time and you get a chance maybe to explore some things that we didn't right as the story is breaking. We now have had a couple of days since the game. What strikes you? What has come into your head? Or even what have you observed that you've been interested in regarding the sort of the reaction to what took place on Sunday?
Well, the first thing is now there's an uproar, which I thought there would be from Canada about playing 3-on-3. But what I want to say, and people should remember, they're saying, and I felt that I told the same thing. I really think it shouldn't be playing on 3 for the championship. But since those are the rules, you have to remember, Canada beat Sweden in 3-on-3 in the overtime.
Exactly.
And by the way, the Canadian goaltender had to make a nice save before Canada goes down and scores. So you never heard any complaints about playing in 3-on-3 after they won that game. So why are you complaining now when the same thing happens, only you're on the other side of it in the final game?
Can't have it both ways.
They forget that they won in that situation. They were lucky to win the game, and Sweden could have beaten them in the third period. Sweden had the better play in the third period than Canada, and we don't hear any of that. It's how you see a lot on Twitter and that about. As the days go by, they're almost saying more and more that U.S. weren't even in the game. Well, yes, they were in the game. And even though they got outplayed in the third period, they did have a couple chances where the goaltender made some excellent saves. Not as many as Canada, mind you, and not clearly as good a chances, because the one that Dave's had in the net, you can't get any better chance than that with that goalie save by Hellebuck and the open net that McKinnon missed. But that's why you play the game. At the end of the game, we got outplayed a big deal by Russia after the game. You didn't hear the Russians saying, we outplayed them. We should have won the game.
Right.
No, you lost the game. That's the way you got to handle it. You lost the game. You didn't do enough good things to win, obviously, because you didn't win. And you got to live with it.
The impact on the national psyche in Canada, we've talked about this before. You know this well, that it is devastating for the country with its history in the sport, and a great belief going in by a lot of people, like, well, this is the best team ever assembled. It's loser-proof for Canada. Wes told us and our audience that he didn't call or talk to his parents for a whole day because he knew how devastated they were going to be, and he was trying to take the high road and just give them some time to come to grips with it, which I thought was pretty interesting. You can speak to reaction in Canada. I mean, I keep hearing it's like over the top.
Well, my brother called me before the game. Who are you cheering for? I said, you got to be kidding. I said, you know what I'm cheering for. Who'd I play for? And so I just couldn't resist. I waited till after the game, and I had to drive over to this meeting in Naples, and I'm halfway across Alligator Alley, and I thought it'd be a good time to call him. I called him. He says, hello. I said, Michael. He says, yeah. I said, who won the game? I've been traveling across Alligator Alley. He wasn't very happy.
Oh, that's so you took the opposite tack to Wes Walls. You couldn't wait to rub it in to a member of your family. No. That's too good.
I had to have the raw feeling.
That's just too good. That's just outstanding. Well, let me ask you a more general question about Canada, the team, because can you not make the argument that they really didn't play to what was supposed to be their strength and capability through much of the tournament? I mean, given, like you say, they had to come back in 2 games, and I always give a team credit if they have that in them, obviously, but they certainly did not play as if they were as unbeatable as people had predicted they might be.
Dan, I think you're right on. When you figure that they had to, they played an overtime game against Finland and Sweden, right, and then the USA. I mean, the fact that they had so many close games with that powerhouse, it's one or two things. Obviously, it's because all the other teams are getting better. But if they had that kind of powerhouse, you still shouldn't have that many close games, I feel. And one of the things I think, and I'm not sure if it's correct, but they played the top line so much because they were so powerful. But when you look at the discrepancy of playing time between that line and the other 3 lines on that team, you wonder if by playing those guys so much every game, if when they got to the biggest game, the gold medal game, if they might have even been a little tired or off because they played so much. Mm-hmm. I know in the overtime you can say what you want, but I watched both McDavid and McCarr coming back. They were tired. And that's what happens when you're playing that much hockey in that stressful environment. You get tired. You need some time to recover. You just can't get it in 20, 30 seconds, which is all of what they got between shifts there.
No question. Yeah, it's absolutely a big part of it. I think it didn't they beat Finland, not Sweden? I think Canada. It was 3-2 over Sweden. Yeah, just for the record, because a couple people had texted on that. So,
we had to beat Sweden.
Yeah. So tell me about the. One of the questions that's come up, and we talked a lot about this with. Actually, had Al Michaels on yesterday, and we got into it with Wes too. Are we past the point where we think there's going to be a massive impact on American hockey, U.S. hockey, because of a game like that? Because I almost feel like, well, U.S. hockey is for real, and it doesn't need any more urging on with a run like that. Or do you think a run like that does exponentially, transform things in a way that otherwise would not have been transformed if the U.S. had not won the gold?
Well, I think you're gonna get a massive impact, but not the same impact because we have so many more players now than we had in 1980. After 1980, and we have so many more states really with developed programs. Now we're getting players from many parts of the country more than we had before. Where I think you're going to have a massive impact. I think the viewing audience is going to increase more. I think the people that sat and watched that game that really weren't regular hockey fans will be getting a bigger interest in the game and watching more games. I think the television ratings as we go forward from here, and next year and the year after, you're going to have more people seeing the game and wanting to see the game than they had before. I think that's going to be a real big impact.
Do you believe, we were talking yesterday about how Wild fans are on a natural high right now, obviously, right? You get your country gets the gold. Several, not just Minnesota players, but Wild players with great contributions. And we all know what we're waiting for. The resumption of the regular season Thursday night, in the case of the Wild, in Colorado to take on the Avalanche. And the buzz in the air is, well, Billy Guerin is, if he's at the craps table, he's hot, man. He's unstoppable, or blackjack. And so you know what people are saying. Well, you got to keep rolling, man. If you're hot, you got to keep going after it. And that means you got to make a really big move. We've seen, now the whole world has seen what the value of Quinn Hughes, to fully maximize what he represents. We got to get him some help with a big time forward. So does any of that matter to Guerin? I mean, do you think in any way he's more likely to try to strike big because of how well this thing went, or are they two completely different issues?
Well, you have to remember, if you're going to go to a crap table or even a blackjack table, what do you need? You need chips. You need money. Mm-hmm. And that could restrict his thinking.
Yes.
As much as he wants to go forward, how much can he play? Where's he got to play with?
True.
He doesn't have the assets, the money that he had before, and money I mean chips.
Right.
Because he's traded away 2 first-round picks in upcoming years, plus a second, a third, maybe even a fourth. So you don't have any first-round picks right up close right now. So now you have to go to assets. Now, one of the assets they always want are prospects. Now, essentially right now, prospect-wise, you're limited to 2. One, you got to find a team if he does have an extra goaltender, if you want to make that move and say trade whichever one of the 2 you want to trade. Or it's got to be young forward, and the only one they got right now with a higher quality of value, I would say, is Stramel. So I don't think they want to part with him, but they would if the asset was right and the age was right. Mm-hmm. But I think he's restricted by that. So the size of the deal that he made before for Hughes, the type of the deal, cannot be replicated to make something for that type of player. So you're going to be dealing at hopefully a better player than his team has right now in that position, but not the type that's a game breaker like a Hughes. And so then you decide, who is it and where can you get him and what do you got to give up?
Lou Nanne brought to you by Kemp's, as always. We were early in the show. I was endorsing a comment made by Pat Riley, who they just unveiled in L.A. another statue, this one of him, and he had a bunch of press conferences or several where questions are asked, and he's given a chance to sort of wax nostalgic about his time there and elsewhere, and somehow the subject of attire on the sidelines for NBA coaches came up. And the quote from Pat Riley was that he wishes NBA coaches still wore suits and ties. Quote, I think when fans look over the sidelines, they want to see someone that looks like a leader. And I heartily endorsed what he said, even though, Louis, I made clear I'm kind of a fraud because I never get dressed up. You do get dressed up a decent amount. I think you enjoy getting dressed up. Hockey coaches, head coaches, they do still, most if not all, I believe, wear certainly a coat and tie, in many cases a suit. Do you agree? Do you miss the sort of the message sent on NBA sidelines where now, of course, it's fancy sweat outfits and quarter zips and all those kinds of things, and the suit days, the Pat Riley suit days are over?
I can make a statement that I really, truly believe is accurate, and that's saying you're never overdressed, but you can be underdressed, and I really believe that. And so I think being dressed up in a position that the coaches are in is something that strikes me as meaningful, gives a leadership aura to it, and I don't see any reason why you got to wear a tracksuit when you're or stuff like that when you're coaching. I just And that's just me.
Yeah,
But
no.
I tell you, my father was a butcher, and he'd come home from the store. He would blood on his fingers because I think whenever you're short of meat, he'd cut a finger and put it in there. But he'd get home, he'd go upstairs, take a shower, and he'd come down for dinner with a suit and shirt and tie on.
How about that?
Eat dinner, then he'd just go walk around the block and come back. And when I was 10 or 12 years old, I remember him taking me to what was called a man store. So what are we doing? He says, I have to buy you a suit. You have to be and act like a man. And so I grew up with that belief. So I like it. I like the looks of it. I like the aura of it. And I do think it really depicts a little leadership. It give you something to get respect from. So I do miss the coaches in professional sports not dressing like that.
That's great background. We were talking, Guardsy and I were talking earlier. If you look at photos from especially baseball, when baseball was obviously bigger, if you go back, but even other sports too, you go back to photos where you can see people in the crowd individually in the 40s, 50s, and even I think a decent amount of the 60s. They're all dressed up. Now, they may not all have suits on, but a lot of them might have ties. And let's just say the attire was a lot more formal than it tends to be at a ball game today, Louis.
Oh, well, look at the Wild when the Wild first got here. And if you were sitting in the lower bowl, the lower deck, there was just a concourse in between. Everybody was in suits and ties and fur coats and stuff like that. And if you ever went to Montreal or Toronto, you want to see mink coats, they were all over the arena. That just was maybe the time, sign of the times, but I still think it looked so good. And I just like that feeling. That's me, and I can understand if people don't agree.
I respect it. No, I respect it.
Yeah, but I just, if you tell me, if I say to you, Tom Landry, what are you going to say right away? The way he looks in the pictures taken with his fedora on.
That's absolutely true. Yep.
Just so classy. I just like it.
Yeah, there's no question. Plus, well, think about it. If you'd gone to run the Kings like you had every chance to do back in the day, it could have been like you and Riles, right? Going to fancy Hollywood restaurants, both dressed to the nines. Think about that.
Yeah, that's exactly what it would have been.
Yeah,
because
that's it.
He liked to dress up, and I like to dress up.
That's it, exactly. You guys are made for each other, for sure. Great stuff, and thank you again for the extra duty on Sunday. It made the show much appreciated, and we will chat next week.
Okay, sounds good. Take care, you guys.
Thank you, Louis. Great stuff from Louis, about to enter another Hall of Fame, the Minnesota Sports High School League Hall of Fame, announcing that Louis is a member of the class of 2026. Top of the hour, pause. Don't forget, Kevin Seifert files a live report from Guardsy's favorite city, Indianapolis, where the football, all the big shots in football have indeed assembled. It is indeed, it's right. It's that time again, believe it or not. And before you know it, the draft will be right around the corner.